Hey, did you had a pet growing up as a kid whom you really loved? A pet that really meant a lot to you? The kind of pet that was like a family member? I had a pet like that. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome to the channel. My name is Source of Food, and if you're happening on this channel for the first time, this is where we sit back and reminisce on the good old days, childhood memories to be exact. I was born in Jamaica in the early 60s, right? So my memories kind of go back to that time period, you know, a little bit into the 70s and maybe touching on the 80s somewhat. But for the most part, 60s and early 70s. So today I want to talk about a pet that I had at home. Should I use the word pet? Because generally speaking, in Jamaica around that time, we never had pets. I don't think people had pets per se. Yeah, people had dogs at home and cats. They were domesticated animals, but were they pets? I don't know. Maybe some people view them as pets, but we never viewed them as pets, really. At least in my home, they were not. They were not pets. Yeah. So as a kid growing up, we had this dog at home. Oh man, I'm in my late 50s now, and I can still see him. Brown, golden brown fur is that what dogs have? Fur or hair? I don't know. I'm not even sure. It's golden brown, more like a retriever. But obviously, he was a mongrel. No, not a retriever at all. Yeah, and his name was Bingo. Bingo. That was the name of the dog at the time, or our dog. Oh man, I recall I loved this dog, man. As a kid, I just love him. He would come up to us all the time, and you know how dogs who are loving what they're like, right? Licking your face, and I remember as a kid we used to get a lot of bruises, cuts here and there, and the dog would come up and lick the bruises and the cuts sometimes. I guess it was a way of and it felt so soothing. That's what I'm trying to say. The dog licking a bruise or a cut on your foot, because back then, walking barefoot and all of that, you buck your toe, as we would say in Jamaica. You tear off the full front part of one one or two of your toes sometime, because that's how it was. Barefoot walking in rough terrain. Yeah, but back to Bingo, man. This dog as a kid, man, was so special to me. I loved him. I loved having him around. But if you grew up in rural Jamaica back in the 60s, you would have known that maybe not just Jamaica, wherever, other parts of the world, right? Many people raise animals for domestic purposes, or maybe, when I say domestic purposes, for meat, and whatever. And some could raise some to sell to get some money, right? A lot of people would raise chickens. So there would be a lot of chickens, hens and roosters around the place. And from time to time, you would have a brood of little chicks, or, with a mother hen around the house, right? But then there was this one animal that was quite common in Jamaica. This animal, it was a real nuisance. a nuisance. And the animal I'm referring to is the mongoose. Yes, the mongoose. Sometimes, you'd be around the house and you'd hear the chickens or the rooster creating a ruckus because guess what? There's a mongoose nearby. Anyway, the subject of this topic is not really about the mongoose, but in some ways it's about the mongoose. So, a little history about the mongoose. Not biological history, that's what I'm going into. But I heard that this animal was introduced to Jamaica as a way of curbing the amount of snakes that used to exist in the sugarcane plantations. Yeah, back in the day when I don't know how sugarcane is reaped nowadays in Jamaica. I don't even know if Jamaica is still producing a lot of sugar. We still do. But back then when it was mostly machete, chopping down cane, a lot of men working on the farm. Yeah. But I was told that there were quite a bit of snake, quite a few snakes. These men would encounter snakes from time to time. And as you might be aware, the mongoose was a deadly enemy when it comes to snake. When it comes to snakes. So I heard that the mongoose was actually introduced to Jamaica from India to help to get rid of all of these snakes from the sugarcane plantations. So they were brought in, they were let go. But I guess, they did not, I don't think that the Jamaican government was quite prepared. The government of the day was quite prepared for what would happen next, because this animal start breeding and start spreading throughout the whole country where there were no sugarcane plantations. They had to eat. They ate birds and other kind of stuff. But one of the things that mongoose love eating, your domestic chicken or your domestic fowl. So you would have a couple chickens around the place that you're raising for eggs or for meat or whatever, and you wake up today, one missing. You wake up 2 days from now, another one is missing. You know what is happening? They're getting eaten by mongoose, man, because there were so many of them around the place. But my dog Bingo, oh, he was as a kid I remember, man, that dog was a star when it comes to the mongoose and tracking them down. And in the community where I grew up, we had all these old walls made of stone that used to separate property lines, right? So as soon as what the mongoose would do, they would catch a chicken and pull it into between the rocks in some of these walls and eat the chicken, right? And we got to figure that out. And if we should see one around the house, or the dog should see one and chase after it, that's usually where the mongoose will run into those stone walls. That was so common in my community. But this dog, Bingo, that dog at my house, that dog was relentless when it comes to the mongoose. He knew that the mongoose was an enemy. He knew, because we were always trying to chase them away from eating our chickens, right? And he knew that the mongoose was an enemy. He picked that up quite early. and he would chase them. And whenever he the mongoose would had a chance to get away from him, he would kill. Occasionally, if he, looking back, he killed a couple of them before they actually got into the wall. But for those that got away from him and got into the wall, man, he would go up and he would go from side to side on that wall, and he would be sniffing out the mongoose, and he would be barking, and he would be barking, and he's barking, barking, barking. He never stopped barking until the mongoose got so scared and tried to make an escape, which was a deadly mistake. Because I can tell you, man, Bingo was on top of that mongoose. Like, use your imagination. Yeah? So, man, while this story is not so much about the mongoose, but in some way, it's more so about that dog and, the fun memories I had of him as a mongoose killer, put it that way. As part of the family, the loving but killing nature that it had, when it comes to the mongoose. Yeah. So, what about you? Did you had a pet at home that may not be a dog, might be something else, a cat, And the cats were another story around in my time growing. They were another story. You would see these cats kill some huge lizards. It's a tropical country, so we have a lot of lizards, and they would catch some of these big green lizards and bring them in the middle of the yard and toying with them before they eat them. Anyway, that's a subject for another day. But yeah. Bingo, he was a mongoose killer, man. As a kid, looking back, growing up then, back in the 60s, I loved that dog. I really loved him. Not just the fact that he protected the chickens from mongoose, but he was such a nice part of the family. And when he passed away, it was so sad. What can you recall? Tell me about a pet that you might have had growing up. It might be recent. It might be way back when, like, in a time period when I grew up. Might be the 60s, might be the 70s. But tell me about it. What did it mean to you? What did that pet mean to you then? I love to hear about it. All right? And before I go, I have a little thing here. So, remember how I said the mongoose were introduced to Jamaica from India? The government actually got them from India and brought them to Jamaica. So I heard that this gentleman in the Ministry of Agriculture asked this gentleman who was placing an order for mongoose to order 12. He wanted 12, right? So the gentleman who was placing the order, he did not know the plural of mongoose. What is the plural of mongoose? Is it mongoose, like sheep? The plural of sheep is sheep. Is it mongooses? Is it mongooses? Is it mengeeses? I haven't even done the research. I'm not sure. So this guy didn't know the plural of mongoose. So he said, "Oh my goodness, how am I gonna write this letter now? Should I say 12? Please send me 12 mongoose. But what if that is not grammatically correct?" So he thought about it, and he thought about it, and he thought about it, and he came up with a solution. This is what he wrote. He said, "Dear sir, please send me 1 mongoose and 11 more." Please send me 1 mongoose and 11 more. So that was that was how he ended up requesting the 12 that the gentleman wanted at the time. I just thought I would share that. But anyway, if you're happening on this channel for the first time, hit the subscribe button if you like, the kind of topics we talk about. If you like this episode, don't forget to hit the like button and don't forget to share, right? So until we talk again, my name is Source of Food, and stay safe, all right?